had a great time here in St. Martin, went to Coyote Lake. She enjoyed it. And now we're gonna try and overfly Coyote Lake, capture some video, and then we'll pick up our IFR flight plan, which we filed already.
San Martin, 879 Hotel Zulu, off runway 32, San Martin.
And I always like to leave a part of me at everywhere I visit, so today I forgot my sunglasses. So mission accomplished. San Martin traffic, November 528 Charlie Mike, taking off runway 32. We're gonna do a right crosswind departure, and we have the Cessna downwind in sight. Okay, mixture full rich, boost pump is on, flaps are 50, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, takeoff power set, indicators in the green, 55, 60, wants to fly already.
San Martin, 879 Hotel Zulu, runway 32, San Martin.
95, clear of obstacles, flaps up, both are up. San Martin traffic, November 528 Charlie Mike, turning right crosswind and leaving the pattern. Good night, guys.
Good night.
So full power climb, mixture is full rich. Airspeed 117, only lower the nose slightly. There is a traffic in front of me. Okay, he's not a factor now, so we can climb. I heard so many accidents about aerodynamic stall where you're above the stall speed, but you're still flying slow, and you bank so hard that you get into a stall, and I don't even know if the airplane will give you a stall warning or like call out your airspeed. So I'm always conscious not to exceed the standard IFR turn. And here we are coming up on Lake Coyote. And very shortly we'll get our IFR clearance. And there is our co-pilot. And we are now right on top of Coyote Lake. I hope that tail camera captures some beautiful views.
Number 8 Charlie Mike, roger, cleared to the Van Nuys Airport via direct. Foxtrot Lima Whiskey, then a 5, car maintain 9000.
I hope I never use the parachute, and I always like to be situationally aware. Where are the closest airports, where are the flat areas where I can put down the airplane. But in the back of my head, it's always good to know that if all that fails, I have the parachute. And it's something controversial in the general aviation community. Obviously, all Cirrus pilots love the parachute, the added safety, the life-saving capabilities and potential. And other pilots are not particular fans of it. So what are the pros and cons of the parachute? I think the pros are, first, its existence, right?
Yeah, 1616.
The life-saving capabilities of the parachute, the added safety, and the fact that I think it relieves some of the anxiety for the pilot and the passengers, knowing that if the Swiss cheese model aligns, and there are several mishaps that happen one after the other during the same incident, then you have this as a last resort. Is it bulletproof? No, it's not. But it's definitely a plus in my opinion. Now, if we talk about some of the negatives and what other people point out, I think the obvious ones are the costs, right? And I haven't seen actual figures on how much Cirrus would be cheaper if it didn't have the parachute. I would estimate maybe a new parachute costs anywhere from $30,000 to $40,000, and then you have to add the engineering and the certification effort done by Cirrus. So I would say maybe anywhere from $50,000 to $55,000, $60,000. So the airplane will be, let's say, $60,000 cheaper. How much does it weigh? Based on some of the unofficial research I have read, anywhere from 85 to 100 pounds. So if you don't have the parachute on a Cirrus, it will be roughly around 100 pounds lighter. So you can carry 100 pounds of luggage, or maybe a teenager, and it will be around $50,000, $60,000 cheaper. Obviously, another one is the deployment limitations. You can't just deploy the parachute in any attitude. Let's say if you stall it and then the nose drops, you're not able to recover, you get into a spin, the airspeed builds up tremendously, and you pass 133 knots, which is the maximum deployment speed. Now you're at 150 or 160, you deploy the parachute, most likely it will separate. So the parachute deployment obviously has limitations, everyone knows that. And let's say that you use the parachute over some rough terrain, you might also suffer tremendous impact because terrain is not flat, so you might actually keep dropping from one to another, and you might seriously injure yourself or even kill yourself. One of the things that people talk about the most is this false sense of security, that some people say that Cirrus pilots take more chances just because they have the parachute, and I certainly agree it should not be that way. Now, I haven't seen the data, like I haven't done enough analysis on my end, but I may talk about it during the next flight. I want to compare, like for example, 10,000 or 100,000 flights made by a 172 as opposed to 100,000 flights made by the SR-20, and see the accident rates, because both engines are done by the same manufacturer. I want to see if Cirrus pilots are prone to taking more chances just because of the parachute. But in my opinion, or in my case, and everyone has different ways of looking at it, if I could afford to buy a 182 turbo versus an SR-22 turbo, both the latest, both brand new, I think the SR-22 turbo is around $100,000 more expensive, and I could afford it. I think I'll buy the SR-22 turbo. And I know about the Swiss cheese model, and something that Hoover from Pilot Debrief talks about a lot is that very rarely there's a single point of failure. However, I did some research and it turns out there are. Now I understand that it shouldn't be that way, and eventually it's a person's mistake, but I tried to do some research and I found a couple of case studies. So let's look at November 200 Zulu. This is an SR-20. The parachute saved a life in this case. I'm not sure how many passengers were there, but the engine suffered total loss of power because there was a fuel line that was completely exhausted. Now this wasn't obviously picked up when the airplane went its scheduled maintenance, whether it's annual or 100 hours, but the NTSB report did not mention that the airplane flew past its scheduled maintenance. And someone did not pick up on that hose. Now you can go and make the argument, well, the pilot should always double check that. And if me as a pilot, if I'm going to double check everything that maintenance has done, if this is correct, then I might as well do the 100-hour inspection myself. I might as well do the annual myself and tear the airplane apart. And then I become a mechanic. Sometimes you rely on companies that have good reputation, but sometimes people make mistakes, and it's extremely unfortunate. It shouldn't happen. But in this case, the fuel line ruptured the engine completely failed. Now I haven't looked at the ATSB data. Let's take a look at the fuel. We can switch tanks. Tanks are switched. As I'm talking to you guys, I'm also taking pauses and looking at the engines and monitoring CHTs. And we seem to be in good shape, and we are about 1 hour away from Van Nuys. It might be a bit quicker as we pick up some airspeed during the descent. Now there is KPRB. I think that's Paso Robles. That's 16 miles away, so that's not within gliding range. But we are getting closer to Paso Robles.
Number 03 Mike, connect North Alabrook 124.
So going back to what I was talking about, in this case, November 200 Zulu, based on my understanding, it was just one hole in the Swiss cheese model. Pilot is flying, all of a sudden the engine fails, and there were no prior warning signs. It's not like, you know, the CHTs got hot and he ignored it and eventually the engine failed, or there were some contaminants because he didn't drain the fuel. This was a fuel line rupture. I tried to bring another case where the parachute didn't save a life, and I'm not sure if this was perfectly a Swiss cheese model, but it was a very interesting accident. I think AOPA's Air Safety Institute did an episode on this called Accident Case Study, one of their earlier ones. This is November 286 Charlie Delta, an SR-22. It had ice protection, but it was not certified for flight into known icing. And the NTSB's
119.05.
119.05, November 528 Charlie Mike, have a good evening. So in the case of November 286 Charlie Delta, the pilot did get a full weather briefing. There were actually 0 PIREPs for icing, no airmets, no SIGMETs, and the NTSB's final report did cite inaccurate weather forecast. I think you could still look at the freezing level and look for clouds. I'm not sure if he was flying during the day or during the night, but it was clearly also a mishap on the weather reporting. He did encounter ice. The pilot was very well aware of it, and he tried to climb, and that didn't make the ice go away. The only, I think, thing mentioned in the accident report is that he deployed the parachute above the parachute deployment speed, so he was above 133 knots, and that caused the parachute to separate, and a very unfortunate accident.
Okay, so now that I'm editing the video, I noticed that I put too much emphasis on the inaccurate weather reporting. I think we as pilots, we fly the weather that we find, and there are ways to find out if there is the potential for icing. You can look at the outside air temperature. If it's close to freezing, there's visible moisture, then there's always the potential for icing to form.
In any case, I think everyone should buy the airplane that he's very comfortable with and stick to its limitations, and constantly practice and train and watch other pilots and how they handle mishaps and learn from their mistakes. I try and be as forthcoming as possible with my shortcomings to help other pilots when they are faced with the same situation. And I know that many other pilots do that, and I learned from that. So I think that's how we keep the aviation community safer as we go forward.
528 Charlie Mike, clear direct Ojai intersection and join the Fernando 7 arrival to Van Nuys.
Oscar Hotel, India Golf Hotel, and then Fernando 7, November 528 Charlie Mike. This is Jenny's inaugural flight. She has been flying with me internationally before. We flew together to Frankfurt one time on the way to California, and we landed at Frankfurt Airport. I had a pizza, she had chicken Alfredo, and then we came to Los Angeles, and then last year we went to Geneva.
Hello, Gulfstream 1.
There's actually a video on my YouTube channel. I think it's titled Jenny's Journey to Geneva. If you haven't seen it, go watch it.
Delta 1715 LA Center, Los Angeles, altimeter 2982. 9982 at Delta 7.
Now we don't have any airports within gliding range, but we are coming up on New Kuyama. It should be within gliding range shortly, yes. Almost 11 o'clock, should be somewhere. Actually I see it, yeah. New Kuyama Airport. The cameras are capturing amazing sky colors. Los Angeles, good evening, November 528 Charlie Mike, level 9,000.
November 528 Charlie Mike, Los Angeles Center, good evening, Oxnard altimeter 2983.
83 Charlie Mike, thank you. And there is Jenny, guys, she's in great shape. And we're coming up on Ojai, 40 seconds, and then we're going to turn left, direct to Canyon intersection, and then Fillmore VOR. So we can put the frequency for Fillmore 112.5.
528 Charlie Mike, contact SoCal approach 128.75.
128.75, good evening, November 528 Charlie Mike. I was just about to do a radio check, it's been silent for quite a while.
Approach Alaska 1052 is leveling 11,000, you're given descent to accept maintain 11,000.
SoCal, good evening, November 528 Charlie Mike, level 9,000.
528 Charlie Mike, SoCal approach low, the Burbank altimeter is 2985, descend to maintain 7,000.
2985, 7,000 Charlie Mike.
Hey Charlie Mike, traffic at 10 o'clock, 5 miles, southeastbound, leveling at 10,000 to 737.
Traffic in sight, 528 Charlie Mike.
Secure Fox, out of 11-7, descending to 11,000, whiskey.
528 Charlie Mike, roger, maintain visual separation on the traffic there, and we're descending southeastbound ahead of you.
Maintain visual separation with the traffic, 528 Charlie Mike.
Oxygen
will good, altimeter. We set the altimeter, cabin heat and defrost, landing light are on. Fuel system is good. Please switch the tanks, okay. And we don't need any rapid descent. Next will be the before landing checklist, which is ready.
Cirrus Airframe Charlie Mike, turn right heading 080 back to localizer.
080, intercept the localizer, Charlie Mike.
Charlie Mike, 2 miles from Jeanette, turn right heading 130, maintain 5,000 until established, cleared Isla Zulu, runway 16 right approach.
130 and clear for the Isla Zulu, runway 16 right, and maintain 5,000 until established. 528 Charlie Mike, thank you.
Cirrus 8 Charlie Mike, contact Van Nuys Tower, 119.3.
Class Delta below and 6.2 miles.
Charlie Mike, good night.
Sierra Gate 6 Kilo, contact Van Nuys Tower, 119.3.
Right at Golf, cross 16 right at Golf, back to the Alpha, Tumble by Cross, have a good night.
Cyber Mike, you ready?
Van Nuys Tower, good evening, November 528 Charlie Mike, inbound on the Isla Zulu, runway 16 right approach.
Cirrus 528 Charlie Mike, Van Nuys Tower, cautiously turbulence, number 2 calling Gulfstream, little 4.5 miles ahead of you, runway 16 right, clear to land, wind, variable 3.
16 right, clear to land, 528 Charlie Mike, thank you. Fuel pump is on boost, mixture is full rich. Power plant is required and flaps is required, and before landing checklist is complete.
Right base, runway 16 right, clear to land.
Number 2, clear to land at 6 kilos.
Cyber 6 Kilo, thank you, just verify runway 16 right, clear to land.
Sorry about that, 16 right, clear to land at 6 kilos second.
Calling Van Nuys helicopter, say again.
Now we can disconnect the autopilot. Autopilot disconnected. There's white arc. Flaps full.
Cyber Mike, traffic mile and a half miles, Cirrus Bay, land in the parallel, you're number 1. Wind 1304. Runway 165, clear for the option.
500.
Cirrus inside, clear for the option, runway 165, 0 Juliet Mike.
Minimums.
Runway inside, continue. Okay, that's not bad.
You're number one, you can turn inbound for the field.
That's not bad.
Inbound right now, it's you.
Say Charlie Mike, say parking?
Going to Mach 1 and taking the high speed, 528 Charlie Mike.
Hey, Charlie Mike, affirmative, high speed Mike approved, taxi to Mach 1, VL, good day.
Wish you a good night, 528 Charlie Mike. Alright, welcome to Van Nuys, guys. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed it. Beautiful views of Lake Coyote. And now, my least favorite thing to do is pushing the airplane into the parking. So, you guys should be thankful that you're not doing this, but I will. So, have a good night, guys. Jenny, say bye. Bye.